freshly developed creative sense of narrative was part of what made horror films in the 1990s so famous, rather than another classic slasher film. One of the better instances is The Silence of the Lambs, but Candyman is the one narrative that has persisted because of its identity. However, it leaves one question unanswered. How would its original design affect the franchise? Let's check into it. So, how would Candyman's original design affect the franchise? Candyman's ghostly murderer stalked people who spoke his name 5 times in the mirror. He would then chase anyone who summoned him until he murdered them. While this generally happened swiftly, reporter Helen Lyle was an exception, since she reminded Candyman of the love that had condemned him to perpetual pain. A big part of this was due to the social injustice of the period, which resulted in Daniel Robitaille's death, launching his endless quest for revenge and remembering. Candyman's genesis tale was detailed, and his initial appearance in Clive Barker's original narrative was addressed in the Shudder original series Behind the Monsters. Instead of Tony Todd's majestic yet eerie look with his huge cloak and hook hand, the Candyman had a more hideous and immediately startling aspect. Barker depicted the urban legend as a man with waxy yellow skin, wild hair, narrow blue lips, ruby eyes, and a patchwork coat and pants, leading to a scary hook hand. However, artist Jon Stewart merely depicted the man's silhouette and how terrible he seemed even in the shadows. While the persona in the novel was unpleasant, it was considerably more frequent when it came to other terrifying urban legends like Freddy Krueger. From a sharp instrument as a weapon to an ugly profile, there wasn't much that distinguished the figure from previous slashers. But more crucially, this Candyman lacked the societal significance that the cinematic counterpart did. Moving on, more details on the Candyman's design. Candyman's race was never stated in the text, and there was no relationship between him and the civilization he tortured in the present. The tormented soul of a black guy slain for loving someone society told he couldn't be far more poignant in the film. Furthermore, it demonstrated a community that, despite their fear, supported him and his image. Candyman's objectives also influenced the black community because he was the physical incarnation of injustices that would struggle ferociously to remain in society's frontal lobe. Candyman has now become a horror icon, the evil side of many social justice campaigns, and the horrible actions that triggered so many outcries of sorrow. If the original Candyman had begun with the identical iteration utilized in the short tale, the figure would most likely have had no impression on the masses. On the other hand, the adjustments made to his appearance and biography served to humanize the monster and highlight the sadness that motivated his violent purpose. It also symbolized the sorrow felt by a group of people who did not deserve it, and how the only way to end it was to keep the remembrance of what happened alive. Candyman's work enhanced terror in ways never seen before, and it would not have been conceivable with his original design. Next up, in other news, what do we know about Ghost Ship? Ghost Ship relates to a story of an Italian cruise ship whose passengers are murdered for stolen goods. 40 years later, the spirits return to torment a salvage team that has located the sunken ship and wishes to claim it. The story is neither remarkable nor exciting in and of itself, and the film, while decent, does not stand out among its peers. On the other hand, the film's history is worth studying because it contributed to the beginning. It was the third picture made by Dark Castle Entertainment, which began with the goal of imitating the work of low-budget director William Castle. The Castle became well known for employing inventive tricks to enhance its cheesy thrillers. This included installing joy buzzers in the seats for 1959's The Tingler, timed to coincide with a fourth wall-breaking scene in which the film's monster escapes into a movie theater, and insurance policies for $1,000 taken out against any paying customer experiencing death by fright during screenings of 1958's Macabre. Dark Castle was built with more finances and better writing, but it sought to keep that atmosphere alive. Its first 2 films were straight-up remakes of Castle films, 1999's House on Haunted Hill and 2001's 13 Ghosts, and took care to reimagine some of the tactics for more knowledgeable audiences. That included things like special glasses the protagonists in 13 Ghosts had to wear if they wanted to see the spirits chasing them, a satire on the 3D-type eyeglasses Castle employed to make the ghosts appear in the 1960s original. Why is the opening scene of Ghost Ship still iconic? Although Ghost Ship was not based on a Castle film, it had to recreate the same mood while competing with 2 terrifyingly amazing stars in each of its predecessors. 13 Ghosts director Stephen Beck was keen to up the ante for his first scene here. It starts with rising music, pink cursive credits, and a brief picture of individuals dressed up dancing on the deck, evoking an early 1960s romance. Then, unexpectedly, a motor somewhere on deck ignites, sending a tempting wire snapping across the dance floor and neatly dividing the entire party in half. The dancers had a few awful minutes to grasp what had happened before splitting into countless pieces all over the deck. As they die, some flail aimlessly in the gore, with one woman in an evening gown desperately attempting to rejoin her lower torso. Aside from the large number of people killed and the horrible manner in which they perished, that single second of self-aware horror speaks volumes about the terror's effectiveness. The gallows humor of witnessing a gathering of fat cats murdered amid their festivity fits Castle's tastes perfectly. While the rest of the film never matches it, it has helped Ghost Ship develop its cult following. The only survivor in the scenario is a young child who is too small to hold the wire and must watch as the other dancers are slaughtered by their limbs and torsos. For the first time, Trick or Treat will be released in theaters in October. Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat has become an annual Halloween event for me, as it has for many of you, although there aren't many of us who have seen the picture in theaters. Despite a few festival screenings, Trick or Treat has never received a theatrical distribution until now. Regal Cinemas will release Trick or Treat in cinemas this October, which is fantastic news for horror fans. Trick or Treat tells 4 stories set on Halloween night, each linked by the presence of Sam, a mythical figure that enforces the holiday's regulations. Trick or Treat is a lot of fun, with a cast that includes Brian Cox, Anna Paquin, Dylan Baker, Rochelle Aites, and Leslie Bibb. The film was initially displayed in 2007 and continued to be shown at Fantasia Fest, Screamfest Horror Film Festival, and San Diego Comic-Con. Still, it took 2 years for Warner Brothers to distribute it direct to DVD. Over the years, the film has garnered a passionate cult following, and fans have longed for a sequel. Michael Dougherty has mentioned a possible sequel, although he also believes the film would be better left alone. In 2019, Dougherty stated, "I think there's something to be said about not sequelizing it. In a business obsessed with franchises, spin-offs, prequels, and sequels, perhaps there's something to be said about just leaving things alone." Finally, Jason Leigh Howden will direct an adaptation of his comic book, Monsters of Metal. Jason Leigh Howden has made 2 highly fantastic films, Deathgasm and Guns Akimbo, and his 3rd film is already sounding very intriguing. According to Deadline, Howden will helm Monsters of Metal, a film based on the comic book he co-created with Lexi Leon. The first issue of Monsters of Metal, published by Opus Comics, will not be available until October 19th. Howden and Leon wrote the script for the film. Monsters of Metal will be a production of Incendium, with Leon acting as executive producer. Working with Lexi and the crew has been amazing, Howden said of the project. They're metal and horror subculture fans that don't want to dumb it down by developing mind-blowing stories for known music artists while staying faithful to their identities. We're all committed to creating entertainment that feels authentic to die-hard fans, while also serving as an excellent introduction to the genres for newcomers. I can't wait to get my hands on this. I am thrilled to be working with Jason on the film adaptation of Monsters of Metal, Leon said. It was a lot of fun creating the series with him, and he's the perfect director to bring this vision to life. Fans of sloppy horror, dark humor, and heavy metal will like this. This appears to be a terrific time. What do you think of Monsters of Metal? Please let us know in the comments section below. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you like it. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content like this in future. Thanks for watching.